Everything we do is prompted by thoughts, which are the functions of the mind. So how does one experience consciousness in its purity without the mind?
All right. How does one experience consciousness in its purity without the mind? Implicit in this is an assumption that just as I can see the cloth, just as I can feel a touch on my hand, just as I can sense my breathing, just as I can introspect and see my thoughts, in the same way I should be able to see consciousness itself. But you cannot. Why not? Because consciousness itself is the seer of all of them. It never becomes an object. It's very simple and very difficult also at the same time. Because everything that we have experienced so far in our lives and we will continue to experience in the rest of our lives, they are all objects. They may be physical objects like the clock or the microphone, or they may be sensations like the feeling of a touch or warmth. There may be thoughts, feelings, happy, sad. They are all objects. That clock is a physical, gross object. A thought is a subtle object. But they are all objects. Objects to whom? What is the subject? Consciousness. That consciousness never becomes an object. Drigeva natu drishyate. The seer is never seen. It's ever the seer. I always give the example of your eyes. Your eyes see everything, but they cannot see themselves. You can only at the most see a reflection of your eyes in a mirror, but you cannot see your eyes directly. The way your eyes see this directly, in that way they cannot see themselves directly. Similarly, consciousness cannot make itself an object, but it can make everything else, its projections, an object. So how do you know? So the answer to this question will be, you do not experience consciousness as an object. Then the doubt will be, is consciousness ever unexperienced? It's never seen, never experienced at all. No, it is more than experienced. In and through every experience, you are experiencing consciousness. In the Kena Upanishad it is said, Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. When you recognize that divinity, that consciousness, in every experience, in every knowledge, in every feeling, you find God. I'm using God in a very philosophical sense. You find that consciousness. Then you have attained immortality. You are enlightened then. So, how is consciousness itself to be experienced? Not as an object, but in and through every conscious experience. In the Kena Upanishad, a question is asked. Keneshitam patati preshitam mana kena prana prathama prayeti yukta keneshitam vacham imam vadanti chakshu shrotram kaudeva yunakti. Kena Upanishad, one of the Upanishads, starts with a question. The question is very deep and very philosophical. Imagine, thousands of years ago, they are asking this question about consciousness. By what do we experience our thoughts? All these thoughts come from where? Prompted by what do we have this experience of speaking, words coming out? What shines upon, illumines, powers our eyes and ears by which we see and hear and smell and touch? Which means the question is, what is behind all our conscious experiences? And the answer is consciousness. But instead of giving that answer, the teacher gives a very interesting answer. What is the answer given by the teacher? Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yad vachoha vacham sau pranasya prana chakshushas chakshur atimuchya dhira pretyasmad lokad amrita bhavanti. Beautiful, very powerful answer. What is the answer given? You want to know what is that by which the ears can hear, the eyes can see, and the tongues can speak, the mind can think. You want to know that? Yes. Listen, it is the ear of the ear, the eye of the eye, the tongue of the tongue, the mind of the mind. Why does he say that? Instead of saying it's consciousness. Why say that? It's a very skillful answer. If you say it is consciousness by which you experience everything, consciousness through the eyes, you see. Consciousness through the ears, you hear. Consciousness through the organ of speech, you are having the conscious action of speaking. What do I mean by conscious action of speaking? There is a physical, biological movement going on here. Lungs, voice box, tongue. There is a neurological movement going on in the brain. You can scan it and see. But apart from all of that, which makes you speak these words, apart from all of that, don't you all have the conscious experience of speaking? I'm having it. When you speak, isn't it a conscious experience? Or is it just a movement of lungs and tongue and spirings in the brain? It's consciousness, it's awareness. There's awareness there. So if the teacher says it is consciousness, then what will happen is the student will immediately start looking for something called consciousness. Student will think that, oh yes, the answer to my question is consciousness. Let me find out that consciousness. What will happen? We'll never be able to find it out. Because it's the one which is looking. It can never be objectified. Instead of saying that, the teacher gives a very skillful reply. If you want to know what illumines what, enables you to hear and smell and touch and think and speak, then it is the ear of the ear. What do you mean by ear of the ear? When you say ear of the ear, the very language says something different from the ear, but in the ear, in the auditory system, which enables the ear to do what it does. Something different from the mind, but in the mind, which enables the mind to do what it does. It's like, if you ask the question, what makes the fan go round and round? What makes the microphone amplify sound? What makes the light shine? We all know the answer. Don't look puzzled. This is the 21st century. Electricity. Electricity. But suppose you give the answer, it is the bulb of the bulb, the fan of the fan, the microphone of the microphone. Then you realize, oh, it is something which is other than the microphone, but in the microphone, making the microphone do what it does. Something in the fan, which is other than the fan, but in the fan, making it do what it does. And something, that same thing, one very same thing, which is in the bulb, in the fan, in the microphone, apart from all of them, yet pervading them and making them do what they do. Each of them does a different thing. But they are all doing it because of the presence of something. We know it's electricity. This is a good example. There is this one consciousness in all these systems which enables them to do what they are doing. They're doing it biologically, mechanically. But all of it is given a conscious dimension because they're all, you have a conscious experience because of the presence of that one thing. So it's a very beautiful way of explaining what consciousness is and how is it different from mind and sense organs and this biological system.